At Arby's, we have the meat.
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to another episode of A Very Odd Caster, and may the 4th be with you. Now, I admit it, I'm really not much of a Star Wars fan. Seems like everybody surrounding me is, but I'm just not into it. By the way, isn't Jar Jar Binks the quarterback for the Jaguars? Just a thought. Anyhow, guess who just walked in? Professor James Earl Jonas himself. He's the professor of philosophy at Mount Hot Airy College down the road. And uncle to Nick, Kevin, and Joe, the Jonas Brothers. Hey, Professor Jonas, long time no see.
Hello, Caster. How are you?
Living the dream. Hey, what are you drinking?
I'll have my usual, a mint julep.
Would you settle for a natural light?
That'll work. Thank you. Cheers.
So do you want to see a menu?
Yes. Do you have any specials this month?
Actually, we do. We have a May the 4th platter. Everything comes in 4s.
Oh, 4s? What do you mean?
That's right. 4 mozzarella sticks, 4 wings, 4 sliders, and 4 golf balls.
Oh?
The 4 golf balls are in case you hit 3 onto the other fairway.
Well, I do not have time for such silly games. You see, I need to catch up on the literature.
And what literature are you reading these days?
Yes, you see, there was a philosophy symposium at the university last month, and I'm way behind on catching up on some of the literature.
Well, a couple months ago we did a Mount Rushmore of rock and roll on the show. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of philosophers?
Interesting question, Caster. I would say my Mount Rushmore of philosophers would be Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and then, of course, Karl Marx. I would put Socrates there due to his glad-fly philosophy. We could certainly use a few more of those these days. And Plato, of course, is a student of Socrates, and I'm particularly fond of his theories of innatism and idealism. And Aristotle, of course, was a student of Plato. And his most fascinating work was that on syllogism. The theory that all men are idiots, and Joe Biden and Donald Trump are men, therefore Joe Biden and Donald Trump are idiots. What was that?
Oops, I forgot to tell you. No politics allowed here.
Well, why didn't you warn me? Anyhow, Karl Marx would be my 4th entry on the Mount Rushmore.
Of course.
And Marx I would select due to his Communist Manifesto, which is better known as the standard student orientation guide on any college campus.
So how's school going this year, Professor? Are the students trying to get you canceled for giving hard assignments?
Now, Castor. Only a small percentage of students are like that. But you know what they say? The squeaky wheel always gets the grease.
Well, the squeaky wheel might get the grease, but the grease doesn't do much good if someone slashes the tires. So have you seen those rascally pop star nephews of yours lately?
No, I haven't talked to them in a long time. They're much too important.
Really? They seem like pretty down-to-earth young dudes.
Well, they live in Los Angeles. Is anyone down to earth in Los Angeles?
Sure. Okay, so the May the 4th platter sounds good to you? I'll go put that in. You wait right here.
Thank you, Castor. And while you're attending to that, I'm going to go back here and try to pick up this chick. Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man. No time to talk.
Well, that was Professor James Earl Jonas, who is quite the player. So indeed, it is May the 4th, and it's kind of a big deal for those Star Wars freaks out there. But like I said, I never got into it. I just never did. Going back to the very original Star Wars, I was like 14. Actually, this is another one of those stupid things from my childhood. Yeah, so I was about 14, and there was all this buildup because this movie was coming out, this new amazing sci-fi movie called Star Wars. And a good buddy of mine was dying to see it. Oh, as soon as it comes out, we got to see it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. I always like going to the movies, But, we went to see the movie, and I'm not going to lie, I fell asleep. The original Star Wars, right? I fell asleep. I don't remember if I, was, under the weather or what. But I think I was kind of bored. And I don't know what it is. I just have never connected, not just to Star Wars, but a lot of sci-fi stuff. Movies need that suspension of disbelief. And a lot of people, the Star Wars fans, or the Star Trek fans, or any sci-fi fans, they just hook, line, and sinker. I don't know. I really don't know why I don't buy into it that much, or I don't, connect with it. I know they say that audiences will allow one leap of faith per movie. And if you try to sneak in more than that, you start to lose them, right? And maybe that's it. I don't know. But I think it's just has to do with more of a broader thing. I don't think I'm that into sci-fi. I guess in that genre, I have trouble taking that leap of faith. Maybe it's because real life space exploration is so amazing, and that in my long lifetime, we have seen a lot. We've accomplished so much in terms of space exploration. I mean, we actually landed and walked on the moon, right? I mean, we landed on the moon, for God's sake. Well, at least that's what the film evidence shows. There are those out there who don't believe that we actually landed on the moon. The moon walk deniers, the moon landing deniers, such as the great Whoopi Goldberg, Grate, Whoopi Goldberg. She was ranting and raving that the whole thing was fake. think she pointed out that the flag that was planted on the moon was rippling like it was windy there. And she pointed out that, the flag couldn't be rippling in the wind because there's no air on the moon. Perhaps that hot air from the view travels pretty far. We don't know, right? I think Whoopi was thinking about the flag on the MTV breaks, maybe that's what she was thinking of. That's called CG effects, Whoopi. What's more realistic? The moon landing or some of the shit they talk about on The View? Another actor, Richard Belzer, the late former stand-up comic, and then more recently the star on Law and Order. He went off on the moon landing being fake too. I think he was doing it in the years after 9/11, maybe during the Iraq War. He was using it as a opportunity to go after Bush, and so he was saying the moon landing was fake. Richard is not here any longer. He just passed recently. I think his ashes were scattered in one of the moon's craters. I have no proof of that. None. It's misinformation. I'm spreading misinformation on social media. Steph Curry, winner of 4 NBA titles, and as much as I hate to admit it, probably the best damn outside shooter in history. Apparently he said he was joking when he said he thought the whole walking on the moon thing was fake. But what is not fake is the fact that NBA refs let Curry and other players get away with walking all game long. Yeah. Officiating in the NBA. You watching some of these playoffs? I've been watching them. They're kind of annoying. But Curry, in that game, he had this awesome game that closed out the Sacramento Kings. Game 7, scored 50 points. But they show one of his shots. He takes a dribble in, the guy's on him. He clearly reaches out and just pushes the guy away, steps back for a wide open 3. So he's allowed to do that, but they got rid of all the defensive rules like the hand checking and whatnot. That's why a lot of people think that he wouldn't be as good in a previous era. I don't know, man, that guy shoots so well. I think he would have been damn good. He might not have lasted as long. Those little drives to the hoop, I think they would have just decked him. They would have gone right for the ribs. Charles Barkley, right in the ribs, man. Steph wouldn't have gone inside then. That happens a couple times, you're not going to go inside. But, the playoffs hasn't gone too well for me. Cavs fan, and very embittered Cavs fan. The team has been improving each year. They won over 50 games. They looked like a tough defensive unit. They were the number 1 defensive unit in the league in the regular season, and they got steamrolled by the Knicks, especially on the offensive glass. And I will say this, you can't be a great defensive team. You can't be the number 1 defense. You can't even be a good defense if you can't get rebounds and you let the other team keep shooting until it finally goes in. Sacramento did the same thing in the second half against Golden State in Game 7. It was a tight game. I think Sacramento was up 2 at half, and it was ridiculous. So the teams I'm rooting for have all been going by the wayside. The Milwaukee Bucks, I like the Bucks. They got destroyed. They were the top seed, you know? So I don't know. Kawhi Leonard, one of my favorite players, down again with an injury. It's not working out too well for me. The teams that are left, we are now in the second round. Boston and Philly. I like Jason Tatum. I like Embiid. But I'm not wild about those teams. Miami here. Knicks. LeBron and the Lakers. Golden State, forget it. I guess I'll root for... No, I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it. Not going to jinx it. So it's May the 4th, but you know what that means? That means that just around the corner, like tomorrow, is May the 5th. Yes, indeed, we are celebrating Cinco de Mayo here on this edition of A Very Odd Caster. In fact, we're celebrating it quite literally because here in front of me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, Cinco de Mayo. Guess I'll have to find the receipt to that. Take it back to the store. But yes, might as well celebrate with a nice Corona. I wonder if when COVID hit, if Corona's business took a hit. You know? You know, the FCC wouldn't like me drinking a beer. But since we aren't bound by FCC rules, I can say, fuck you, FCC. Yeah, so anyhow, right before COVID, I was in New York for Cinco de Mayo. Can't remember why. But it was pouring rain there. And I wanted to go out and just, have a couple of Coronas. Oh, it's Corona Light. Oh, damn. But at least it's not a Bud Light. Because, I think the makers of Corona might want to have a Charo impersonator on their label. Charlie, who's dressed up as Charo. Wouldn't that be pretty good? It's the gift that keeps on giving. Anyhow, I was in New York and it's pouring rain. I mean, and I'm like, I gotta go have some Mexican food. It's Cinco de Mayo, for God's sake. Mios Dios. So, I took the train down. I looked up and there's this restaurant. I can't remember what it was called. But it was pouring rain and I was like, got off the train and I was dashing through the flooded streets, puddles. My shoes were getting soaked. I was soaked, I got into the restaurant and I'm just like, they're looking at me like, holy shit. I was just like, but it was great food, and they had music there, live music. None other than Ricky Martin singing Living La Vida Loca. Ricky Martin's not Mexican. Anyhow, this year I plan to spend Cinco de Mayo in northern Michigan. They have Taco Bell there now. oh my God, James Earl Jonas is just leaving with that lady he went to hit on. Man, that dude has some swag. Anyway, so last time on A Very Odd Caster, we started talking about weddings and sort of how they've evolved over time. And so I wanted to continue that discussion. But of course, as you know, first I have to change back into that shirt. Now, is it just me, or are weddings becoming more and more over the top? Are they becoming more narcissistic than in the past? Now, I don't know. I really don't know. I've never been like a wedding planner or a wedding observer. Only the really weird weddings are the ones that stick out in my mind. I've been to dozens of them, but there's only a handful that I recall that really stuck out in my mind. But it just seems to me these days that the whole build up to these weddings and everything have gotten a lot more narcissistic. All these major photo shoots in advance of the wedding. And I'm just like, I don't know. I need feedback on this because I could be totally wrong. It may just be a byproduct of, the visualization of society. We're an Instagram society, right? So we got to do something to get on Instagram. I don't know. It just seems a little over the top. It also strikes me that the grooms seem to be sort of going along with it, but probably not overly enthusiastic, but they love their lady and, onward. And that sort of raises a broader question, because I think maybe this is really like weddings have always been. They're really about the bride, right? At the end of the day, it's kind of like the fairy tale. It's the prince and the princess. They're dressed that way, for God's sake. And it couldn't be the guy's idea. Hey, let's dress up like Cinderella and Prince Charming. Was Prince Charming and Cinderella? I don't think so. He was the dude that worked in a shoe store, right? Hey man, put out your foot. Let me see what size you are. So guys, aren't we just like extras in our own weddings? Really? Sometimes it just looks like the grooms, they're like stunt doubles, right? Okay, groom, now can you smile and look happy for the next 4 hours plus? The guy's like, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. Okay, get the stunt double in here. Get the stunt double. Guy shows up. I'm happy. I don't know, man. But we get all this stuff in the mail. Save the date. Okay? Save the date. Save it. Where should I save it? Is there any room in the fridge there? And there's these pictures of the bride-to-be and the groom-to-be, and the bride-to-be is just, beautiful. I'm so happy. And the guys are like, I'm going to take a shit. I'm just riffing, man. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm maybe totally off. Maybe it was always accepted that, yes, the wedding day is more for the bride than for the groom, My own experience. Yes, somebody was sorry enough to marry me. But I definitely felt like I was sort of an extra in my own movie. You know, I'm like, after a while, I'm just like tired. I gotta sit down. Oh, there's a chair. Hey, a groom over here. More pictures. Yeah, good times. I don't know. At any rate, it's kind of the next 50 years that really counts, right? If you don't get that right, who gives a shit how good your wedding is? Preach it, brother Casta. Well, I think that's about it for this edition of A Very Odd Caster. Shout out to Professor James Earl Jonas, who dropped by for mint julep, but settled for a natural light. And anyhow, happy Cinco de Mayo. And may the 4th be with you.